Hello and welcome to the wallPen podcast, the art and business of vertical printing. On this week's episode, I had the opportunity to sit down with two of the three business owners of SURFACEPIX out of Utah to talk about their experiences that they had previous to the wallPen with a competitor's machine. So, without further ado, here's the podcast.
Cool. All right. So my name is Doug. I work with a company called SURFACEPIX. We're excited to be involved with the wallPen, and obviously, we're all business owners. So three of us that are neighbors got together, and we're all kind of entrepreneurial minded. And so with that in stake, we ended up buying a machine. So.
My name is Nils, and I'm with SURFACEPIX. We're based out of Utah, and like Doug mentioned, there's three of us in the group here, and we are thrilled to be working with wallPen and have a machine that works as well as it does. It's pretty awesome.
All right, that's good. Overall, can you describe your previous experience using a competitor's wallPen and the key challenges or limitations you encountered specifically with that technology that you're using prior to wallPen? Whoever wants to answer first.
Where do we begin? All right, so we have had in-depth experience with competitor machines. We ended up buying one, and as entrepreneurs, we felt like, hey, once we buy this machine, we can make this thing work. So we ended up getting it, and probably around January timeframe of this year is when we got the machine, and through unboxing it, getting it, ready to go and everything. It probably took us a week to figure that out, to get it out of the crate, set it up, and get it to a point where we felt like we could actually actually do a print. And so just the hassle of not having a manual, being far away, right? The company that we were working with was in another country. And so that lagging time of support and different things was really difficult. And so that caused us to probably take, about a week to get this thing set up and ready to go. Once we started printing, then all the problems started. That was the easy part, I'd say, is getting it uncrated and getting it going. Then we started using the machine, and there was just thing after thing. And so I can go into depth on those. Do you want me to go in depth on those?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we got the machine. I'm just going to think of some examples here of just crazy things that happened to us. So once during the unpacking, I should start there. We ran into an issue where the plug didn't fit into the receptacle of the machine. We were trying to get it in. It was just too big. And we were like, what the heck is going on? So we reached out to the competitor, and we said, hey, how do we get this thing to work? Like, we can't even get the plug in. We felt kind of stupid, right? Like, are we doing something wrong? Or, is this us or is this them? I'm not sure. So we reached out, and the response we got was, oh, grab a knife and just shave off the plastic part on the top, and it should fit just fine. And we were like, really? That's the solution here, huh? So we did it. We shaved off the top, and it did fit in the end, but obviously not German engineering there. That was a little bit difficult. So that was one of the hangups we came across. And then there was other things, like as we started to print, we ended up seeing that the pictures the images on the wall were being printed like sideways and upside down and then straight up, and we weren't sure exactly why that was happening. And so we had to reach out again and be like, what are we doing wrong here? Why are we getting the images, in different, sideways, upside down, whatever, it's just kind of crapshoot, we felt like. The response we get was kind of surprising. They were like, oh, every time you convert the image and do all that, you need to rotate it clockwise 90 degrees in order for it to print straight up. So that was, frustrating for us because not only were we working with something that we had to, move sideways, but it was, ripped off Windows 7, software, very hard to work with. And then, the software inside of it was obviously antiquated as well. And so just trying to work with that software in itself, not only the hardware was one piece, but the software was a whole nother piece that was just frustrating and hard to work with. So.
Yep. Man, that's tough. I just have to take a moment. That sounds tough. Like that's I like their answers though. Just use a knife, chop off some of the, chop it
Yeah, I
off and
mean,
just
it's common sense, right? It's common sense. Why not?
yeah, common sense, exactly. Just
When
take
you
a
when you
knife
That's
buy
to
an
it.
right.
expensive product, you expect to have to, shave plastic off of it to make parts fit. Yeah, that's just normal. So,
Can you imagine if like
Right.
Apple and Google did that with their plugins?
right,
Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, yeah, just shave it off a little bit, plug it in. Don't worry, it's safe. Yeah.
Got that new MacBook Pro? Yeah, if it doesn't close, just slam it. It'll work. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if like Nils, if you have any like other, I don't know, things that had happened with the machine, if you had the same or
We
anything else.
we have, I mean, we have tons, and there's like, we have so many. It's we have a bit of PTSD from this machine, so we have lots that we can share. And I mean, some of the things that stand out besides what Doug already mentioned, as far as the software, it felt like, so I don't know what grade. It felt like going back to like 11th grade or something like that for me, because I was like, that's about the time it felt like those machines were, the software was written is years and years and years, decades ago. And so it was a major step back just to actually work with the thing at all. So we immediately thought, again, kind of just being with that attitude of we can do this, like we can make this work. We immediately thought, like, what are some ways that we can outsource this, or like kind of separate this outside and do a lot of the prep on other software on our laptops or our home desktops, whatever. And we basically found that we could only do a tiny bit on our own. We really had to work through the machine and through that limited software the entire time. And that was very frustrating. We couldn't do anything off-site, as it were. So we kind of were limited to what we were given there, which was really terrible. But it was like the story of this machine was that every time we thought, oh, we can do it better, we can like do our own version of this, it's going to be awesome, and then we get shot down. Like that's like the synopsis of our experience with this machine. And then the hardware one, we might talk more about this, but it's kind of hilarious, especially night and day difference with wallPen. But like, we had this machine at Doug's house and at our other partner Dave's house and at my house, and it was like this ordeal to try to get it. We all live within like a stone's throw of each other, but it was like this neighborhood ordeal to try to get the machine from one house to the other, because we had to buy a special dolly for it, strap it down, make sure the ink wasn't going to spill. And then it was a two-person job to, like, one person's got half of it on their shoulder, the other person supporting the wheelbase, and we're kind of like very carefully going over, wheel it up the steps, thump, 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 wheel it down the steps, thump, 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 all that kind of stuff. And it was like a bit of a spectacle just to get this thing moved from one place to the other. So lots of things, and that was later on. Like that first week, of course, is where the initial shock hits, but there was just so many aspects of this that were really night and day difference from anything we've experienced with wallPen.
Wow. So what features do you like from the wallPen?
Okay, I'll start with this one. And things we've just kind of touched on a little bit, like transportation wise, being able to break this thing down into not only smaller parts, but parts where everything has its place. Like the bag setup alone for wallPen is huge. Like it's just the fact that you can put the whole thing in easily in the back of a Prius. That's the one we saw in a video where like that was a selling factor for us. None of us have Priuses. We all have pickup trucks, as it turns out. So that wasn't a big issue, but we're like, we could put this in the back of any car basically and take this wherever we need to. And not only that, but it's not like we're trying to cram it back there. That's like everything breaks down nicely into its individual components and fits in its own spot and then just stacks. Like that was a huge factor for us. The software interface by itself, I mean, that's the whole thing. Obviously, we've talked about the struggles that we had with the competitor's machine and their horrible interface. I mean, I'm like legitimately 20 years old kind of thing. Like that's what it was like. It was like taking a step back in time 20 years. With wallPen, not only is it manufactured by the same company that's developing the software, so that's a huge integration right there, having hardware and software work together specifically and intentionally, but also it's made for the operator. It's made for the people who are using it. So it's not like they're just trying to, hack something in to get it to work. They're saying, okay, what do we need to do to make this easier for you? That's what we're going to do. And we know that there's history there, right? That it's an evolution that's taken place. And we're fortunate enough to have come in at a time when it was, I think, pretty well polished at this point. And there's more they'll do. There's more we're excited for. But that's the other thing, is it's going to continue to evolve. It's not like we get it right now and that's the end of it. It's actually still getting better, which is pretty awesome. Those are both aspects of things that we just didn't experience at all with the competitor machine.
Awesome. Yeah, Doug, if you have anything else.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna add on to that. Like we were set up within hours with this thing. We got it uncrated, we put it up in my garage, and within hours we were actually printing images, and they were coming out like they should. You know what I mean? It was like we unboxed it, and it was like plug and play type of a thing. We did not experience that before, right? That was very, very different. And so just the engineering of this things, the ease of setup, like all we had to do was kind of watch the video that was online and do it ourselves. And we got it set up probably within an hour. I think it was maybe less than an hour, to be honest. And then
Yeah, it was.
obviously there was, some other setup things that we had to do, filling the ink, purging, doing some calibrations and different things. And once we did that, we were off and running. In fact, we sent some pictures over to some of the wallpen people, and they were amazed. Like they were like, this is awesome, you guys are already printing. And we already had like good quality prints on it was like my garage wall. Obviously it wasn't like client or anything, but we
Yeah.
had things working. And in 8 months, with other machines, we could not get a print to come out that we felt like we would go out to a client's and be comfortable to be like, hey, we're not inviting ourselves just to go paint your wall after we finish this thing, right? That's how it felt. That's how it felt, to be honest. And so this machine, in every which way, is built so nicely. The software is, incredible. Obviously, there's, tweaks that can be made, and it can get better, and it will, like Neil said. But I think they're at a point now with wallpen, at least the experience we've had, is it was just a plug and play situation, and we were able to just be off and running, and we're already doing jobs. So this is exciting. We're way stoked
Yeah.
about this.
The German engineering, it just reigns true throughout all the products that they seem to make. It's like they really do take the time to consider like how someone's going to use the product, and just like not just this is it as it is. It really is like here it is, but let's think 5 years out on how we can hack things. Like the white ink, for example, like that's just like a thought that they had, like have that extra spot for any potential glow in the dark ink. Who knows what they'll come up with.
Right.
I mean, it was even as small as like while we were in training, it was even as small as like we had the machine in one area, and I'm like, oh, we have to move it all the way over to this other area. How are we going to do this easily? And they stick wheels underneath it and start moving it, and I'm like, yeah, they thought of
Yeah.
everything. Like this is like so much easier than the other machine. Like we would have spent hours trying to get that thing on the other side of the room, even. And so just little things like that. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Agreed.
How about some projects? Can you share some examples of projects with the wallpen technology that allowed you to achieve like the superior quality and like end result?
Yeah, so we have had a chance, and I think one of the cool things that's happened more recently is the partnership with Vast Images and having the opportunity to work with these, just like in some cases literally hundreds of megapixel images, and being able to not only experience those like by themselves, they're kind of a marvel, right? How cool is it to see that much detail in one image? But the fact that we can have technology within the printer that allows us to actually translate that onto a physical wall is really impressive. Like if we tried to do that with the competitor machine that we had, I don't know if we ever would have gotten the print to go all the way through. We really like legitimately struggled big time just to get any print to succeed all the way through, especially with any true colors, not having resolution issues, not having blur issues, different things like that. But now we can print that, and we can print it in a way that justifies the amount of megapixels in those images. Like, so it kind of opens doors. The other part with it is its ability to do fading and transparency and gradients and that kind of stuff smoothly is awesome. To me, that's one of the big selling points that we have over every other type of wall decoration, wall printing, vinyl, anything like that. We get the opportunity to blend things into your existing wall or make it three-dimensional, make it stand out, work with lights and shadows and all that kind of stuff. And we just didn't feel like we could trust the machine that we had at first to be able to do that. Once we got the wallpen, it was literally like working out of the box. Like that, like Doug said, the first day we got high quality, good prints that were calibrated, even though we didn't know about calibration right at first. It was calibrated from the factory, so it just worked. And even the guys at wallpen who came out and trained us were like, wow, this is you guys got results that good like right away. We're like, yeah, it just worked. It was just perfect. So the confidence level is there. That's the big difference is we feel confident trying new things that we would not ever have thought about even with the previous machine, just because we couldn't trust it. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Doug, do you want to add anything else like to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a good example is we were working with a local company here, and we got some logos from them. One of them was deep, rich black, right, in the background, and so we had tried to do that with the previous machine, and there was always, there was some lines in it, or the color didn't come out just quite right, and we never felt comfortable. In fact, we told them to hold up. We were like, hey, we just don't feel comfortable, coming out and working with you guys. So let's hold off for a bit. We had to kind of stop that relationship, unfortunately. And then once we got the wallpen machine, we went ahead and did that same image, that same logo, and put it up in our garage. The true black that came out without any striations or anything was amazing. Like, we were just like blown away. We put the picture side by side, and we're like, how do we ever think this other machine would actually do what what the customer wants, what the client wants? Because it came out so like just crisp and perfect. And I was like, I told my other business partner, Nils and Dave, I said, we're in business. That's the moment I knew. Like, once we printed that and we put them side by side, I'd like, we're in business, guys. This is it. So that was really exciting for us.
What is the reliability between each one of the machines, and how would you, I don't know, rate them?
So as far as reliability, I mean, 100%, like I've been discussing here, like we never did a client job while we had the other machine for 8 months. We just did not have the confidence in the machine that we were going to get the result we wanted. And so, like, knowing that and going through that and banging our heads against the wall trying to figure this out, because we thought, hey, we're pretty good at this, we can figure this out, we're gonna be successful here. And just that amount of time trying to get that working was very frustrating, and not having that confidence, like, to be able to go out and actually do a job, that's difficult when you own a business. Like, you have to have confidence in the in the machines that you're using, and in the software and everything, right? And getting the wallpen, it was apparent from almost day one, right? I said once we printed that other the pictures and put them side by side, the images, that's the moment I knew, hey, we're in business. This thing is the real deal. This is a machine that's going to work, and it's something that we can have confidence in. So that was really exciting.
We went from disaster to like the dream setup overnight. Like opening, and I will say this, James, the unboxing experience, I know we've touched on this, but we recorded it actually, and it would be kind of funny to watch it because we were like total nerds. We were like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This looks so good. Everything, I mean, just noticing the way the aluminum was machined for the mast and for the different parts, and then putting them together and having everything actually with the pins, they line up perfectly. These are all things that took hours to do with the other machine. So everything about it was like, we had grins plastered on our faces that you couldn't tear off. Like we were just totally dorkily, like, I'm making up words, but we were just so enthused about it. We were like, we couldn't believe. So I think for us, at least, it was actually beneficial as far as making it the most positive experience it could be, because we knew how bad it could be. We went from such a really difficult negative experience to something that was like, this is how it should be. And we were like kids in a candy store. It was I'm sure if like our wives were watching, they'd probably be like, you guys are such dorks, because we were so excited about it, like, for real.
That's awesome. And like, the other cool thing I like about it is like, just the one tool, you know what I mean? Just like the one tool, put it all together. Obviously, if you're like with like a bigger group, it's always good to have at least 2 or 3 of them so that you guys can like work in conjunction and get things done. But like, they did really think of everything. It's awesome.
They did. And by the way, we bought, I think we have 15 of those tools now. I think we bought 2 extras and then a whole bunch of bits that we can use with the drill, but only if we have the clutch enabled. So it's just super soft on it. We don't want to overdo anything or over torque it, but we're immediately thought like, all right, we need more of that one tool, right? We need a lot of these just to have on hand, because even while we were assembling it, we were like, where'd I put that? Where'd I put that? So it's kind of like measuring tapes. You can never have enough measuring tapes around the house and stuff. So that kind of thing. But I mean, we literally watched the video. We didn't read instructions. We didn't do anything. We watched the 5-minute video that showed how quick it is to set up. And just watching that, we also set it up in I don't know, Doug, I'm thinking it was probably 20 or 30 minutes that first time when we had no clue and we were just
Yeah,
following that video. And
yeah, it was quick.
and it was assembled. Then we had parts and everything, but it was assembled. That was that.
That's so awesome. That's so good. And how have you guys done like time trials now to see how quickly you can get set up now?
Like the military,
Actually, we haven't. We need to,
disassembling the.
That'd be pretty
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Who can set it up quicker?
We need to start doing that. That's right. We need to start doing that. We'll send over a video. See how quick we get it. If we can beat the guy in the video, that's our goal. Beat the 5-minute training.
Yeah,
video.
there you go.
There you go.
We should set the wallpen world record for assembly. Like see if we can get under like 2 minutes. Have all your stuff laid out properly so that you can just like grab and go and be done in no time.
Yeah,
I think you're onto something, James. I think that might be a must right there.
Like time trials, that'd be so awesome. Funny to see. Oh, let's talk about like maintenance support in terms of having someone to reach out to. You did mention this, but just the difference between the competitor having to reach out if you had any issues versus wallPen. I'm not sure if you guys had the opportunity yet to use the hub yet, but I mean that's something else. If you guys have, great. If you guys haven't, that's totally fine. But yeah, just sort of like the differences between the competitor and wallPen in terms of customer service and help.
Yeah,
Doug,
I can take that.
This
so
you have the most experience with Matt.
Yes, I did. So excuse me, but yeah, no, definitely the customer support wasn't actually that bad. It was just the time difference and different things that we were running into with the competitor. They actually were pretty good at responding, and some of the answers, like I said, were very quirky and just like, really, that's what we should do? Are you kidding? We have multiple of those where we're just like, all right, we'll do it, but this isn't the right way to do it, or this this definitely isn't something that any sound person would do. But but like they were actually pretty good about getting back, but I didn't feel like they were in for the long term, where I feel like wallPen, they're in it for the long haul and they want to support us and they want to make sure that we're successful. And that's a big differentiator, because after like probably a few weeks, we started getting these messages of like, hey, can you give us a 5-star review? Like, please give us a 5-star review. And we couldn't. We were like, no, we haven't figured this thing out. We still haven't even done a job. How are we supposed to give you a good review, right? Like we're not through the the gauntlet yet. We're still going, and they kept messaging that time after time after time. Unfortunately, we never gave them a 5-star review, but and we know the reasons why. But wallPen, I feel like the support's there, not only here in North America but out in Europe, so it's worldwide now. And I feel like that they care and they want people to be successful. They want their operators to be successful and to make sure they build that relationship. Whereas with the other competitor, there's no relationship there. It's just like, let's get through it and let's get you happy so we can get our review and then disappear type of a thing. So,
right.
Yep. And just to add to that, the amount of resources that have gone into putting together basically an easy starter kit and then maintenance kit, essentially, as far as knowledge is concerned, for the wallPen is awesome. I used to do tech support a million years ago for Windows Millennium back in the day, and we had the knowledge base, the KB, the Microsoft knowledge base that we would use to look everything up. And there's already a knowledge base for wallPen through the hub. And so not only can you go in there and usually find what you need, in fact, we've used it a lot actually to try to like up-res images, for example, or scale things differently, work with white, things that are new to us and we're still trying to figure out how they work. Almost all of that has some tutorial in there. And the best part is a lot of it is not contributed necessarily by someone from the hub itself, but from another operator. Like there's people out there who are using this every day and saying, here's what I can share with you. So it's more of a community than just a resource that's put on by one source, So there's just a lot to it. And then we can share successes in there. We can ask questions. Have you had this issue? No, I haven't. And then someone jumps in and says, oh, I have. It's really just this. Make this tweak and you're good to go. We're not seeing a whole lot of, the other cool part is we're not seeing a whole lot of like disasters or like really big issues. It's mostly people learning the machine and then other people helping to, express what they've already been through. Say, yeah, I've been there. I can help you with that. So it's a more of a community. And then we also still use the WhatsApp group as well. That's where we started, was kind of hanging around in there, and before we even got the machine, just to see what people were doing and how they were liking it, and same kind of thing. But I feel like the hub is like WhatsApp on steroids in terms of the resources, the images, the videos, the threads, the forums, all that kind of stuff. So it's awesome to have all of that there. And I feel like anything that we're going to run up against, if we do have issues, we know where to go. We know it's going to be taken care of, and people are actually watching it. It's not just like put it out there and then hopefully in a couple weeks someone gets to it. Like, it's fast. It's pretty reliable.
So this can go, because not everyone's going to have like the same experiences as you guys did, like having a competitor's or the competitor's machine and then making the switch over to wallPen. Some people might just, see the ads of wallPen and just like, they're on the fence. Should I do this? I can be my own boss, whatever else. So anyone who's either has had a competitor's machine, or if they haven't had a competitor's machine, but they're on the fence about, taking the dive into running their own business and going with wallPen, what would you tell that person who's sort of like on the fence if you had to talk with them about it?
So, I mean, I've thought about this one quite a bit just because that's the situation that we find ourselves in now. And we get literally last night, we were out with a group, both Doug and I were there. There was 12 guys. We're hanging out. We had dinner. And all of them were asking about this wall printing idea and technology because it's new to everybody. So we're sitting there at the restaurant and we're like, look behind you. See this big tapestry that's hanging, for example? Imagine if you could print this kind of, drop shadowed, super vivid image there that it takes up the entire wall, not just that middle part, but goes from wall to, it's just huge. And they start thinking. And then I got one guy, he's like, the guy sitting next to me, he's like, okay, I got the logo. It's right here on my sweatpants. Can you do this logo onto my wall by my pool table in my basement? I'm like, we could totally do that. But not only that, we could actually add drop shadows and do all this stuff. So once I bring that up because once people wrap their heads around the fact that this is possible, then it's a much easier sale. This is a new market, really. This is not something that we have to try to compete with everybody else against. So if you're on the fence about like whether or not this makes sense or if it can make money or anything like that, I'm here to tell you, we've put fairly minimal effort into this. We've been serious about it, but we haven't had to like go crazy and like we're not mortgaging our houses or that kind of stuff. We're saying, let's just get it out in front of people. That's what's making all the difference. If you have a machine that works and you can actually talk to people about what that is, you can show it to them in any way, shape, or form, whether that's through video, social media, or in person, then you're gonna get those sales. I mean, it just makes a huge difference because people don't know that this thing exists, and this is the technology that makes it possible. So skip that competitor. Don't make our mistake and waste 8 months dealing with it and hassling with it. Get the right machine and then get your business started.
Doug, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just to add to Neil's point, like it's whether you want to be in business or not. That's where I boil it down to. Like we could not get into business with the competitor machine. Like we spent 8 months trying to do it, and we just couldn't get to the point where we could even get a sell. And it was because of us. It wasn't like people weren't saying, yeah, come do this, because we had people that were like, hey, come do a wall for us and get this up. We just didn't feel comfortable. We never felt comfortable going out and doing it. So if you want to be in business, like get the wallPen. This is going to be the thing that is going to allow you to be in business. If you get a competitor, you're rolling the dice on whether it's going to work or not. And I'm just telling you, like, I know there's many competitors out there. The one that we worked with just never worked. And so all that time, effort, and money was pretty much, I call it education, the school of hard knocks, right? That's what it was. We figured that out. And now that we have this machine, now we're, like I said, we're in business, and we can actually like go out and do jobs, and we can feel comfortable that, hey, have the confidence this machine's going to work. And so if you're on the fence, I would just say, go with a wallPen, because that's what's going to put you into business, and that's what you're going to have confidence with. We know it works. We know that, the quality that it has, having come from another competitor, and it's just night and day. There's no comparison.
Yeah, I love your line of we're in business. Like, it's like now we're in business. And I think like, even just like outside of all this, just like being an entrepreneur, and like, it's one thing to have confidence in yourself, but if you're using a tool, if you don't have confidence in that tool, then you're not going to be successful, right? So I think that just bodes well. I love that line of like, we're in business, and like the fact that you guys both talked about having the confidence not just yourselves, but like in the actual like machine itself to do its job, so you can actually provide a service and have that guarantee that it's going to go well for your customers. So
it's
that's
huge.
cool.
It's essential. Yeah.